The night was cold. A strange silence covered the valley. In the far mountains, dragons lived in their caves, proud and powerful. They were creatures of fire and sky, strong enough to burn forests and fly across storms. But not all dragons were born equal. One hatchling came into the world smaller than the rest. Its body was weak, its wings too short, its legs thin. When it tried to breathe fire, only smoke came out. The other hatchlings laughed and pushed it aside. Even the elders shook their heads. "This one is broken," they said. "This one will never fly." The small dragon, no bigger than a cat, listened to their harsh words. It did not understand why it was different. It only knew that its mother never stayed close, and its father never looked at it. The clan wanted strength, not weakness. As days passed, the little dragon struggled. When food was shared, the others pushed it away. When the wind called the young dragons to practice flying, it could only flap its tiny wings and fall back to the ground. Its heart was full of sadness, but still it tried. Still it hoped. But the clan had no patience. They saw the small dragon as a shame, a useless burden. One evening, when the stars covered the sky, the elders made a cruel decision. "This one does not belong to us," they declared. "Leave it outside. Let nature take it. The weak must not live among the strong." The mother dragon turned away. The father dragon gave no sound. And so, with cold hearts, they carried the small one out of the cave. The tiny dragon looked at them with wide, shining eyes, not knowing why it was being left behind. It let out a weak cry, but no one listened. The great doors of the cave closed, and the sound echoed through the valley. The small dragon was alone. It walked slowly into the darkness, shivering. The scales did not shine like the others. The steps were heavy and tired. The night air was cruel, and the ground was hard. Every shadow seemed to hide danger. The little one curled under a rock, trying to stay warm. Hours passed. The dragon's eyes grew heavy. Hunger cut deep into its small belly. Cold made its body shake. Tears rolled down its tiny face. It thought of the family who had left it. It thought of the sky it might never touch. Far away, in a small human settlement, a man worked late into the night. His name was Marcus. He was not a soldier or a leader. He was a simple engineer, fixing machines no one else cared about. His workshop was filled with broken gears, rusted pipes, and tools that never rested. Marcus had no family left. The wars had taken them from him. Only his work kept him alive. He lived alone at the edge of the settlement, close to the mountains where no one else wished to stay. People thought he was strange. He spoke more to machines than to men. That night, while repairing an old generator, Marcus heard something unusual. A sound carried by the wind, a cry. It was soft, weak, almost like a whisper. At first, he thought it was just the wind. But then it came again. A cry of pain. A cry of fear. Marcus put down his tools and stepped outside. The valley was dark, the moon half hidden behind clouds. Again the sound reached him, this time closer. He followed it, his boots crunching on the dry earth. And then he saw it. Under a rock, curled and trembling, was the smallest dragon he had ever seen. Its wings were folded tight, its body shaking with cold. Its golden eyes looked up at him, full of fear and sadness. Marcus froze. Dragons were dangerous. Everyone knew that. They burned villages. They stole livestock. They were not friends of humans. But this one looked nothing like the monsters from stories. It was small, weak, helpless. For a long moment Marcus only stared. The little dragon tried to hiss, but the sound was weak. Tried to breathe fire, but only smoke came out. Then it gave up and lowered its head. Marcus's heart stirred. He saw not a monster but a child, a creature abandoned by its own kind. He knew that pain. He knew what it was like to be alone, unwanted, left behind by the world. Slowly Marcus bent down. He reached out his hand. The dragon flinched, ready to be struck. But Marcus's hand was gentle. He placed his coat around the small body, lifting it carefully. The dragon's eyes widened. Warmth filled its tiny frame for the first time in days. It let out a soft sound, almost like a purr. "You're safe now," Marcus whispered. "I've got you." He carried the dragon back to his workshop. Inside, the machines hummed with life. He placed the little creature near the fire and gave it water from a bowl. At first, the dragon hesitated, but hunger and thirst won. It drank deeply, then curled into the coat. Marcus watched, shaking his head. "What am I doing?" he muttered. "Taking in a dragon. They'll kill me if they find out." But when the tiny dragon lifted its head and looked at him with trusting eyes, Marcus knew the truth. He could not let it die. Not tonight. Not ever. He didn't know it yet, but this fragile dragon would change his life. And not only his life, this bond between human and dragon would one day decide the fate of two worlds. Morning light touched the mountains. The human settlement slowly woke from sleep. Smoke rose from chimneys, people hurried to their work, and machines rattled in the distance. But inside Marcus's workshop, the world was quiet. Marcus sat on a chair, his head leaning against the wall. He had not slept much. His eyes stayed fixed on the small dragon curled inside his old coat. The creature was breathing slowly, its chest rising and falling. Its scales were dull, but in the firelight, they shone faintly like tiny stars. For the first time in many nights, the little dragon slept without fear. Marcus rubbed his tired eyes. "What am I going to do with you?" he whispered. He knew the truth. Dragons and humans were not friends. If anyone discovered the creature in his workshop, the settlement would call it a threat. They would kill it before asking questions. And if the dragon clan found out, Marcus did not want to imagine what they would do. Still, when he looked at the small figure wrapped in his coat, his heart refused to turn cold. He remembered the loneliness in its golden eyes. He remembered the sound of its weak cries in the night. Marcus himself had once been abandoned. His family lost in war, his friends scattered, his home destroyed. Only machines had stayed with him. He had learned to build, to repair, to survive. But he had never learned to stop feeling alone. Until now, the little dragon stirred. Its eyes slowly opened. For a moment, it stared at Marcus, uncertain. Then, with a soft movement, it pushed its head against his hand. Marcus froze, then smiled. He stroked the dragon's head gently. "You're not afraid of me anymore, huh?" The dragon let out a small sound, half hiss, half purr. Marcus chuckled. "I can't keep calling you little one. You need a name." He thought for a moment, looking at the way the firelight reflected in the creature's eyes. "Spark," he said at last. "Yes, Spark. That suits you." The dragon blinked, as if listening. Then it made a sound that almost seemed like agreement. From that day forward, the bond between Marcus and Spark began. Marcus knew Spark needed more than warmth. The tiny dragon was weak and underfed. So Marcus shared his food, pieces of bread, small cuts of meat, even boiled potatoes. Spark ate eagerly, though clumsily, often dropping crumbs on the floor. Marcus laughed every time, but Spark was clever, very clever. Soon, the little dragon began watching Marcus's hands as he worked on machines. Its golden eyes followed every tool, every movement. When Marcus turned a gear or tightened a bolt, Spark tilted its head, curious. One day, Marcus placed a small gear on the table. "Go on," he said. "Let's see if you can move it." Spark sniffed it, then nudged it with his nose. The gear rolled across the table. Spark made a pleased sound as if proud. Marcus laughed. "Not bad, Spark. Not bad at all." Day by day, Spark grew stronger. His wings remained small, his body still fragile, but his mind was sharp. He learned quickly, copying Marcus's actions, even tapping at buttons with his claws. Sometimes, when Marcus was fixing a pipe, Spark would try to hand him tools, though often the wrong ones. "Close," Marcus said with a smile. "You'll get it right one day." But danger was always near. Outside, rumors spread. Hunters spoke of a missing hatchling. Some said a dragon child had been stolen. Others whispered that a weak dragon had been thrown away. The clan was restless. Marcus listened silently whenever such talk reached him. He never joined the conversation. He only returned to his workshop and checked on Spark, making sure the little one stayed hidden. At night, he often wondered, what will happen if they find us? He imagined soldiers breaking into his workshop, dragging Spark away. He imagined the clan storming down from the mountains, burning everything in anger. But then Spark would curl up beside him, pressing close for warmth, and Marcus's doubts would fade. He could not let fear win. One evening, Marcus worked late again. A storm raged outside, winds shaking the roof. Spark sat nearby, watching him repair a broken generator. Suddenly, the power core slipped from Marcus's hand. Before it hit the floor, Spark darted forward, catching it between his claws. His small body shook under the weight, but he held it carefully. Marcus's eyes widened. "Spark, you saved it." Spark let out a proud chirp and placed the core back into Marcus's hand. For the first time in years, Marcus laughed loudly, the sound filling the workshop. "You're full of surprises, aren't you?" The bond was no longer just kindness. It was trust. It was partnership. But the world outside did not forget. One night, while Marcus and Spark rested, shadows moved near the settlement. Figures with glowing eyes and strange weapons watched from the hills. Aliens, raiders, enemies of both man and dragon. They were preparing their next strike. The tiny dragon had found a human who cared. The lonely engineer had found a friend. But the world was dangerous and enemies were near. Would Spark remain safe? Would Marcus's secret be exposed? To discover what happens next, make sure to subscribe to this channel. And neither Marcus nor Spark knew that soon, their fragile friendship would be tested in fire and blood. The days in the settlement passed quietly. Marcus worked on his machines, Spark stayed hidden in the workshop, and the world seemed calm. But calm never lasted long. The humans whispered of danger. Strange lights were seen in the night sky. Traders spoke of alien raiders moving closer to the valley. Soldiers in the colony were restless, preparing their weapons, building defenses. Fear was growing like a shadow across the land. And yet Marcus kept his secret. Nobody knew about Spark. Every morning, the little dragon woke before the sun. He stretched his small wings, flapped them with effort, and tried to rise. But still, his body was too weak. He would fall back to the floor with a soft thud. Marcus always came to lift him up gently. "Don't give up, Spark," Marcus whispered. "One day you'll fly. You just have to keep trying." Spark blinked at him with golden eyes, full of trust. He was small, but his spirit was bright. In the evenings, Spark sat close while Marcus repaired machines. The little dragon studied every move carefully. He learned which tool was used for which job. Sometimes he carried small bolts in his mouth, dropping them on Marcus's lap. Other times, he tapped at buttons on the workbench, watching the machines hum to life. Marcus began to realize something. Spark was not only curious. He was intelligent. Far more intelligent than he had imagined. "You're not just a dragon," Marcus said one night, smiling. "You're an engineer too." Spark let out a happy chirp as if agreeing. But the peace could not last. One afternoon, Marcus went into the settlement to buy supplies. He walked through the crowded market, listening to the voices around him. Hunters spoke loudly at one stall. "They say a hatchling went missing from the dragon clan," one said. "Stolen, maybe," another whispered. "Or maybe it survived when it wasn't supposed to." The first man spat. "If a human is hiding a dragon, they'll bring death to us all." Marcus froze. He kept his head down and moved away quickly. His heart pounded. They're searching. If they find Spark. That night, when he returned to the workshop, he closed every door and window. Spark tilted his head, sensing his worry. Marcus knelt down. "We have to be careful, little one. They can't know about you." "Not yet." Spark pressed his small body against Marcus's arm. His eyes glowed with quiet loyalty. But danger was not only from humans. In the mountains, the dragon clan had discovered the truth. Their smallest hatchling was gone. Some believed it had died, but others whispered that it lived. A disgrace. A shame. The elders ordered their hunters to search. No weak blood must survive, they hissed. The hunt had begun. As days turned to weeks, the tension grew. Soldiers patrolled the settlement. Watchtowers lit fires at night. Everyone knew something was coming. Marcus worked harder, building new tools, repairing defenses. Spark stayed at his side, learning, helping in small ways. Sometimes, Marcus caught himself smiling, forgetting the fear outside. But the storm was getting closer. One night, the sky burned. Strange ships appeared above the valley, alien raiders. They descended with weapons that glowed like fire. The settlement bells rang in alarm. People screamed, soldiers rushed to the walls, and machines roared to life. Marcus grabbed Spark. "Stay hidden," he shouted, pushing the little dragon behind the workbench. But Spark refused to hide. His golden eyes shone with fierce light. The raiders attacked, blasting holes into buildings. Flames spread through the streets. The soldiers fought back, but they were outnumbered. Marcus's workshop shook as explosions tore through the settlement. A generator sparked dangerously. Marcus tried to shut it down, but the enemy fire knocked the tools from his hands. The machine was seconds from exploding. And then Spark moved. The tiny dragon leapt forward, claws striking the power switch. His small body was nearly thrown back by the force, but he held on. The generator shut down just before it could blow. Marcus's eyes widened. "Spark, you saved them." The battle raged outside, but something had changed inside Marcus's heart. Spark was not just a weak dragon. He was brave. He was clever. And maybe, just maybe, he was the key to survival. The fighting continued through the night. Marcus and Spark worked side by side, fixing machines, sealing leaks, and saving soldiers who would have been burned alive. When the raiders finally pulled back, the settlement lay in ruins, but it was not destroyed. And the people whispered. Someone saw a dragon helping. A small one. A dragon with a human? Impossible. The rumor began to spread like fire. Marcus sat in his workshop, exhausted. Spark lay beside him, his body shaking with weariness. But his golden eyes still glowed. Marcus stroked his head gently. "We can't hide forever, Spark. They'll come for you. The clan. The raiders. Maybe even the humans." Spark made a soft sound, pressing closer to him. Marcus looked into the fire. His mind raced. "I have to protect him. But how?" The answer came slowly, as his eyes moved to the machines around him. Gears, metal, engines, tools. Maybe Spark was small. Maybe his body was weak. But Marcus was an engineer. He could build. He could create. And perhaps, together, they could turn weakness into strength. The world now knew a secret. A tiny dragon lived. Enemies were hunting. Danger was everywhere. But Marcus was ready to fight back, with machines, with courage, and with Spark. To see how a fragile dragon and a lonely engineer would stand against an entire world. Subscribe now. The settlement was quiet after the raid, but the silence was not peace. Burned houses still smoked. Machines lay broken in the streets, and people buried their dead. Fear walked through every corner. Marcus stood in his workshop looking at the damage. His hands were black with grease, his clothes torn. Beside him, Spark limped, his small body covered in dust. "You were brave," Marcus whispered, touching the dragon's head gently. "But it's only the beginning. They'll come again." Spark made a soft sound, but his golden eyes glowed with fire. He did not fear the battle. He wanted to stand with Marcus. The rumors spread quickly. Some said a strange creature had been seen during the attack. A tiny dragon helping a man. Others said Marcus had built a machine shaped like a dragon. The soldiers argued, but none had proof. Still, suspicion grew. A few villagers watched Marcus's workshop with sharp eyes. They whispered in the market, "If he hides a dragon, he puts us all in danger. He's always been strange, that engineer. Always alone. Who knows what he does in there?" Marcus heard the whispers. He felt the eyes on his back. He knew it was only a matter of time before someone knocked on his door. But he also knew something else. Spark could no longer stay weak. If they wanted to survive, the little dragon needed strength. That night, Marcus began to build. He gathered scraps of metal, broken wires, and small engines from his workshop. Spark watched closely, tilting his head in curiosity. "You want to help?" Marcus asked. Spark chirped softly, stepping closer. His claws tapped the table, almost as if asking for instructions. Marcus smiled tiredly. "All right then, we'll build this together." Piece by piece, the work began. Marcus shaped a small harness of metal, light but strong. He added gears, wires, and small boosters, powered by the scraps of energy cells he salvaged. The harness was not a weapon, it was an extension, a way for Spark's small body to carry more power. Days passed. Marcus worked without rest, and Spark never left his side. The bond between them grew stronger with every screw tightened, every wire fixed. Finally, the harness was ready. Marcus knelt beside Spark. "This is for you," he said softly. "It will make you faster, stronger. It won't change who you are, but it will give you a chance." Spark blinked, then lowered his body, allowing Marcus to place the harness on his back. The metal clicked into place, fitting perfectly. Marcus stepped back. "All right, try it." Spark spread his small wings. The boosters hummed softly. He leapt into the air. This time, instead of falling, the harness lifted him higher. For the first time in his life, Spark hovered above the ground. Marcus's eyes widened. "You're flying!" Spark let out a high cry, his golden eyes shining. He darted across the workshop, clumsy at first, then steadier, faster. He landed with a small thud, looking proud. Marcus laughed for the first time in weeks. "You did it, Spark. You can fly." The little dragon ran to him, pressing his head against Marcus's chest. But this was only the beginning. The second raid came sooner than anyone expected. One night, alarms rang across the settlement. Ships descended again, their weapons glowing. Raiders poured into the streets, firing at soldiers and machines. Marcus grabbed his tools. "Spark, this is it. Time to fight." Spark jumped onto the table, his harness already humming with power. His wings spread wide, and for the first time, Marcus saw not a weak hatchling, but a warrior ready for battle. The fight was brutal. Raiders stormed the walls, burning homes and machines. Soldiers shouted, but many fell quickly under alien fire. Marcus ran through the chaos, fixing broken weapons, shouting instructions. And Spark flew. The small dragon darted through the air, his speed making him almost invisible. He dodged blasts, diving between soldiers and machines. When an alien aimed at Marcus, Spark unleashed a burst of fire, small but precise. The flames struck the raider's weapon, forcing it to explode in his hands. The soldiers gasped. "A dragon helping us?" They had never seen such a thing. Again and again Spark struck. His small size made him hard to hit, and his harness boosted his flight. He was no longer a helpless creature. He was a force. One raider cornered Marcus, weapon aimed at his chest. Marcus raised his arms, helpless. But Spark dove from above, ramming into the raider's face. The alien fell back, screaming, as Marcus snatched the weapon and smashed it to pieces. "Good work, Spark," Marcus shouted. The bond between them shone like fire in the dark. By dawn, the raiders pulled back once more. The settlement was battered, but it had survived. And this time, the soldiers had seen the truth. They gathered near the workshop, whispering, "The dragon fought with him. It saved lives. Maybe this creature isn't a danger. Maybe it's hope." But not everyone agreed. Others spat and muttered, "A dragon is still a dragon. Today it fights for us. Tomorrow it may burn us." Marcus knew the danger had only grown. Spark's secret was no longer hidden. Both humans and dragons would come for him now. That night, Marcus sat with Spark in the workshop. The little dragon's body was bruised, his wings tired, but his spirit unbroken. He curled beside Marcus, purring softly. Marcus stroked his head. "You've shown them who you are. Not weak. Not useless. You're something more." Spark's golden eyes glowed in the firelight. Marcus whispered, almost to himself. "You are proof that even the smallest spark can light a fire strong enough to change the world." But as he spoke, he heard a sound outside. Distant roars echoed from the mountains. The Dragon Clan had heard the rumors. They were coming. The raiders had been pushed back. The settlement had seen the truth. But the Dragon Clan would never allow a weakling to live, especially not one bonded to a human. The storm was coming, and Marcus and Spark would have to stand against it. If you want to know what happens when the clan arrives, make sure to subscribe to this channel. The mountains shook with the sound of wings. From the dark caves high above, the Dragon Clan took to the skies. Their scales shone in the moonlight. Their roars thundered across the valley. They had heard the rumors. A weak hatchling left to die still lived. Worse, it was with a human. For the dragons, this was a disgrace. A shame that stained their pride. No weak blood should survive. And no human should ever touch a dragon child. The elders gave their command. Find it. Destroy it. Burn the human if you must. Down in the settlement, Marcus worked in his workshop. He repaired broken walls, rebuilt machines, and tried to calm his racing mind. But he could not ignore the feeling that danger was moving closer every hour. Spark sat on the table, wings folded, golden eyes glowing with worry. He could sense it too, the anger of his clan. Marcus looked at him. "They're coming for you, Spark. I can feel it." Spark tilted his head, pressing his body against Marcus's arm. His small frame trembled, but his eyes stayed brave. "You've already proven yourself," Marcus whispered. "You saved this colony. You saved me. But to them, you're still nothing." He clenched his fist. "We'll show them. We'll show everyone what you really are." The night came. At first, it was only a sound, distant roars rolling like thunder. Then the shadows appeared in the sky. Massive shapes, wings spreading wide, scales glinting like fire. The clan was here. The settlement panicked. Soldiers shouted. Bells rang. People screamed as the dragons circled above like storm clouds ready to break. Marcus stepped outside. Spark perched on his shoulder. The little dragon hissed, wings twitching. The largest of the dragons landed in the valley with a crash that shook the ground. His scales were black as coal, his eyes burning red. He was the leader of the clan. His voice boomed. "The weakling hatchling! You dare to hide it, human? You dare to shame us?" Marcus stood firm. "He is not weak. He's stronger than you know." The leader's eyes narrowed. "That creature does not belong to you. It belongs to us or to death. Step aside." Spark growled softly, a sound that seemed too fierce for such a small body. He stepped off Marcus's shoulder, wings spreading. His golden eyes locked with the leader's red ones. For the first time, the clan saw him not as a broken child, but as a challenger. The clash began. The clan swooped down, fire raining from the sky. Soldiers fired their weapons, but the dragons were too strong, too fast. The settlement shook under the attack. Marcus ran to his machines, powering up defenses, shouting orders. "Hold the lines! Don't let them break through!" And Spark took to the air. The harness on his back hummed with energy. His small wings beat fast, the boosters lifting him higher. The larger dragons laughed at first, seeing him dart clumsily through the sky. But Spark was not weak anymore. He weaved through their flames, too small to hit. He struck where they least expected, bursts of fire aimed not at their bodies, but at their wings, their eyes, their weapons. He was clever, precise. The soldiers below watched in awe. "That little one. He's fighting them," the leader roared in rage. "Enough! Weak blood must burn." He charged at Spark, jaws wide, fire spilling from his mouth. Spark darted aside, the flames missing him by inches. Marcus shouted from below, his heart racing. "Spark, watch out!" But the little dragon was faster than fear. He spun in the air, diving close to the leader's face. His small body slipped past claws and teeth. Then he struck. His fire, tiny but sharp, blasted into the leader's eye. The great dragon roared in pain, crashing against the ground. The earth shook. The clan gasped. Never had they seen such courage from the smallest among them. The battle raged on. Dragons fought soldiers. Fire clashed with steel. But in the center, it was Spark and the leader, locked in a dance of fire and fury. Marcus kept the machines running, his hands bleeding, sweat burning his eyes. He shouted, "Stay strong, Spark. You can do this." The little dragon heard him. The bond between them gave him strength. Every cry, every wing beat, carried the fire of Marcus's belief. Finally, Spark landed on the leader's back. His claws dug deep. His fire burst once more into the wounded eye. The leader howled and thrashed, but Spark held on, refusing to let go. The other dragons hesitated. For the first time, they saw the weak hatchling not as a failure, but as a warrior. And in that moment, the leader fell. His massive body hit the ground, shaking the valley. Smoke rose from his wounds. His red eyes dimmed. The clan roared in shock. Silence followed. Spark hovered above the fallen leader, wings trembling but strong. His golden eyes shone with fire. He had done the impossible. Marcus rushed forward, lifting Spark into his arms. The little dragon was tired, his body shaking, but he still purred softly. Marcus looked at the other dragons. "He is not weak," he said firmly. "He is more than you ever believed. And together, we are stronger than you can imagine." The clan stared, unsure. Some lowered their heads. Others growled, still angry. But none moved to strike again. The battle was over. For now. The weak hatchling had risen against his own clan. The settlement had witnessed a miracle. But peace was not certain. The dragons had been challenged, and the raiders still waited in the dark. This was only the beginning of something greater. The valley was broken, smoke rising into the sky. The dragon clan stood in silence, their leader fallen, their pride wounded. Humans watched from the settlement walls, weapons still in their hands. And in the middle stood Marcus, holding the small dragon in his arms. Spark was tired, his wings shaking, but his golden eyes still burned with fire. He had done what no one believed possible. He had defeated a dragon elder. But peace did not come. From the horizon, shadows moved once more. Strange ships appeared in the sky, black as night, their engines roaring. The alien raiders had returned, larger in number, stronger than before. This time they would not retreat. The humans gasped in fear. The dragons snarled in anger. And Marcus knew the truth. If they fought separately, they would all be destroyed. The first ships descended, weapons glowing with deadly light. Beams of energy rained down, striking the ground, tearing buildings apart. Soldiers screamed, dragons roared. The valley shook with fire. Marcus looked up at the sky, his fists clenched. "It's them, the real enemy." He turned to the clan. "You call Spark weak. You call me worthless. But look at what's coming. If we don't fight together, none of us will live." The clan growled. Old hatred burned in their eyes. But then they looked at Spark, the small one who had just defeated their leader. They saw the courage in his golden gaze. Slowly, one dragon lowered his head. Then another. At last, the clan gave their answer. They would fight. The battlefield erupted. Aliens stormed the ground, their weapons cutting through metal and flesh. Soldiers fired back, but their rifles barely scratched the raider armor. Dragons swooped from above, flames roaring, but even their fire struggled against the alien shields. And in the middle of it all, Marcus and Spark. The harness on Spark's back glowed brighter than ever. Marcus had repaired it quickly, pushing it beyond its limits. The boosters roared, lifting Spark high into the air. "Go, Spark!" Marcus shouted. "Show them what we can do." Spark dove through the sky, weaving between beams of light. His fire struck weak points in the alien armor, small but precise. Marcus directed him from below, shouting commands, pointing to targets. Together, they moved as one mind. A massive alien mech stepped onto the field, taller than the walls of the settlement. It aimed its cannon at the humans below. Marcus's heart raced. "Spark! Stop it!" The little dragon darted forward, his harness screaming with power. He dodged the cannon's blast by inches, then dived into the mech's chest. His fire burst through an open vent, igniting the machine from the inside. The mech exploded in flames. The humans cheered, dragons roared, and Spark flew free, smoke trailing from his wings. Marcus shouted with pride, his voice breaking. "That's my boy!" But the battle was not won. More ships descended, more raiders stormed the ground. The valley shook with endless war. Marcus's workshop was destroyed, his tools scattered. But still, he fought, using scraps of machines to build traps, shields, and bombs. Spark delivered them, dropping explosives onto raider lines, blasting holes in their defenses. Again and again, Marcus and Spark turned the tide. But the raider commander finally stepped forward. A towering alien, covered in black armor, carrying a blade that glowed red. His voice was like thunder. "The human and the dragon. End them." He marched toward Marcus, his soldiers covering him. Marcus's blood ran cold. He had no weapon strong enough. No machine to stop such a monster. But Spark did not hesitate. The little dragon landed in front of Marcus, spreading his wings wide, standing between his human and death. His small body shook, but his eyes blazed. Marcus whispered, "Spark, no, you'll die." But Spark only looked back once, as if to say, "I am not weak. Not anymore." Then he charged. The commander swung his blade, but Spark darted aside. His fire burst again and again, striking the alien's joints. Marcus shouted, directing his movements, using every bit of his engineer's mind to guide the dragon. The fight was desperate. Every strike could have ended Spark. Every blast nearly killed Marcus. But together they refused to fall. At last, Spark leapt high into the air. His harness glowed brighter than ever, the boosters screaming with energy. He spun once, then dove straight into the commander's chest. The explosion lit the valley like the sun. When the smoke cleared, the alien commander lay broken, his armor cracked, his weapon gone. The raiders froze. Without their leader, their courage shattered. They turned and fled, their ships rising into the sky, retreating into the stars. The valley was silent again. Humans and dragons stood side by side, staring at the tiny figure in the center. Spark lay on the ground, his body smoking, his wings broken. Marcus rushed to him, tears burning his eyes. "Spark, stay with me," he begged, holding the small dragon close. Spark opened his golden eyes one last time. He looked at Marcus, weak but proud. A soft sound came from his throat, half a purr, half a growl. And then he went still. Marcus froze. His heart broke. He held Spark's body close, whispering, "You were never weak. You were stronger than all of them. Stronger than me." The soldiers lowered their weapons. The dragons bowed their heads. For the first time in history, humans and dragons mourned the same life. But then something happened. Spark's harness flickered. A small light glowed in the center. The energy Marcus had built into it, the bond they had shared, burned one final time. And Spark breathed again. His chest rose. His eyes opened. The golden fire returned. Weak but alive. Marcus laughed through his tears, hugging him tight. "You did it, Spark. You survived." The humans cheered. The dragons roared. For the first time in history, two enemies stood together, united not by fear, but by hope. All because a human engineer saved a tiny dragon left to die. The world would never be the same. Humans and dragons would fight side by side. And at the heart of it all was Spark, the smallest dragon, the brightest flame. If you enjoyed this story of courage, friendship, and hope, make sure to subscribe to this channel for more epic human versus alien versus dragon stories.